Our next speaker is Mr. Miquel Stape, VP Government Digital Innovation from ACGP, Spain. I'd like to invite you for your talk, Mr. Miquel. Are you there?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hi, Miquel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this great event. I hope, first of all, I hope that you are all fine. I am delighted to be here with you. Let me share my presentation. Okay. So it is during critical times that we see the best and the worst of people and organizations. So I'm going to talk about digital government. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the heroes and the villains in digital government during this coronavirus crisis, about some of the best initiatives, but also about some of the bad practices in the public sector. I hope this is interesting for you. First of all, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Miquel Stape. I work in government in Barcelona, Catalonia, a region of Spain. I'm a civil servant, passionate about driving the digital government transformation and fostering public innovation for the common good. And one comment before starting my presentation. I'm going to share my personal experience in Catalonia and my personal views and opinions. But I want to be very humble. I understand there are thousands of different initiatives around the world. Let me describe some of the specific challenges for the public sector during this pandemic. The government foundations are based on procedures, bureaucracy, and controls with the goal to deliver good but steady quality services. So government in general are not designed to be flexible, not agile, not open to experiment and innovate. And that has been a big issue during the last years because of the technological revolution that we are living in. But right now, addressing this issue is urgent. We are facing the biggest crisis in 100 years, and we need public organizations, government officials, and public employees that manage by purpose, not procedures, that are flexible to adapt to rapid changes, that are ready to work from home efficiently. For instance, in Spain, only 4% of public employees had some kind of previous remote working experience. Organizations that are keen on working together. The issues are huge and nobody can solve them on their own. Very easy to know who are the good and who are the bad guys. Well, in reality, we know very well who are our superheroes. Our superheroes are the doctors, the nurses, and all the health workers. But also, superheroes are the people who have been working the worst days of this crisis to make our life comfortable. Personal care workers, cashiers at supermarkets, police officers, garbage collectors, etc. They have faced a great risk of coronavirus infection for us. My deepest gratitude to all of them. In reality, we also have heroes and villains. Although it is not easy to recognize them because of the propaganda and the social media noise. From my personal point of view, the heroes are the ones that clearly know that govern is to serve, especially now. They empathize with citizens. They empathize with citizens, they understand their big issues, and they focus on social priorities. They work hard with others seeking new solutions because the old ones are not useful anymore, and they take risks. On the other hand, we have villain governments. The politicians or government officials believe that they are the master and citizens just have to follow the rules. Or they have seen the crisis as an opportunity to get more exposure in the media presenting great new projects that are usually smoke and mirrors and a waste of public resources. Let me talk a bit about these bad practices, which are basically related to do business as usual. For instance, some of these governments have closed all of their offices. We all understand the public employee safety is very important. But what about the citizens who need to do critical transactions with the government regarding social benefits, and they cannot do it online? Are public employees' safety much more important than the cashiers at the supermarket? These governments didn't do their homework during the last 15 years, despite big announcements of digital transformation initiatives. And now some of these big administrations have less than 40% of their public employees doing teleworking. Some of them now are less transparent with this, for instance, about the emergency contracts, or they promote opportunistic initiatives with the idea of maximizing the impact on media coverage. Let's go to the best practices. On the other side, we have the government heroes who have managed to keep on working. Let me give some examples. For instance, from day one, many of these governments, for instance, most of local governments, have continued having city council sessions online. They have debated the issues, being accountable, voted on motions, and made decisions. In the end, they have been governing and serving citizens. They kept the offices open with reduced availability, but they have extended call center hours and they have promoted video calls with citizens. Some other practices are related to the government's heroes that have made a big effort to make things simple in this situation. That means taking risks with some of the traditional controls because the priority is to save families and save companies. For instance, taking risks about the digital identification, making it simpler. For instance, about accessing services online, especially from mobile homes. We have some examples where more than 50% of the social benefits have been submitted from a mobile phone. And finally, this government have invested in being more open and transparent than ever, in building trust, because now trust is absolutely essential. For instance, being very transparent about the contracts, the benefits, and the actions taken. And finally, these government heroes have taken actions to adapt to changes. Most of them have 100% of the public employees working from home efficiently and in a collaboration way. Using some of the guides, for instance, that my company that I'm working on has produced with the best practices regarding getting organized, working as a team, and using the best tools and technologies. And some of these governments have promoted also very innovative solutions, like, for example, solving some of these digital identity barriers using facial recognition, like the banks do to the digital onboarding for Know Your Customer. Finally, I'd like to talk a bit about artificial intelligence in government. My question is, what about artificial intelligence in this situation? Before the pandemic, all the digital transformation experts were talking about the standing power of AI, and for sure it will be. We had great expectation, and this was a good time for AI to show its power and help us overcome this crisis. However, reality is tough regarding the maturity of AI technology and its real use in government. Using chatbots, robots to automate tests, or using prediction algorithms has been actually quite disappointing. Let me just put an example. We have seen many chatbots in government websites, providing just basic information about the coronavirus, the same information that you can find on a website. in Spain, there are about 20 different chatbot initiatives. Some big administrations even have 2 different chatbots. This is not an efficient way to invest the public money. I like a sharp quote from an NGO activist in Catalonia that says, if you don't know how to govern the crisis, you develop a chatbot. So let me summarize my presentation with a few comments. This crisis is a great opportunity to learn from our government superheroes and redesign how government works, to foster real digital transformation, to make efficient remote working, to encourage active collaboration, and to promote public innovation to overcome the new crisis that will happen in the future. Let's hope we do it before the next crisis. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I believe we have some minutes left to take some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Piquel was a great presentation, and I'd like to open for questions. Everybody who have questions, please. If not, I have a question. Once you were talking about these times of heroes and villains and this situation, how we could promote or empower these new heroes, because today we saw some news talking about these new heroes. It's nurses and doctors talking about how they was valid during this pandemic issue. But in some countries, when this issue has passed and they start to coming back in the ordinary routine, they already was forgotten. So how we could keep them evaluated, give word to them, and promote them in this new context?
I think that at the very end, the important thing is citizens. How citizens, give a reward to all these governments, how they ask for accountability to differentiate who are the heroes from the villains, because as I said during my presentation, that is not very easy with the propaganda. So whenever a government is launching an initiative, somebody should ask, let's say 6 months later, what's going on with that initiative? And so citizens should ask for more accountability about the government projects. And also, it could be very helpful that the media, the newspapers, also keep a record of all these, great announcements that at the end are smoke and heroes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Miquel. I really appreciated your speech. It was really insightful.